All right, hello everyone. It seems like everyone is in and has their audio on. My name is Alexandra Silvestre, and I am the IT systems trainer. And I'm accompanied today by Leanna, who is my co host. And we're so excited to have you here. Welcome to the Michaels organization. Today, we are going to be presenting an overview of Google Workspace. Hopefully, you have all used Google Workspace in the past or a suite very similar to it. But before we start, I really want to get a pulse as to who is here in the room with us and what your prior knowledge with Google or Microsoft 365 is. So on your screen, a poll is going to pop up, and if you can just take a few minutes to answer that poll, please. All right, perfect. Thank you so much for taking that. It seems like we have individuals that have seen Google before and some that have not. And today I am excited to help you and teach you and guide you through Google Workspace. Before I go any further, just some housekeeping items. Everyone in the meeting is muted. This is to kind of avoid any distractions that someone may have going on in the background. I know we're all in our workplaces and sometimes things can get noisy. If you're at home or on the road, any cars that are beeping, or it's always my dog that's barking at the wrong minute. Um, this is just to avoid some of those distractions. However, on your taskbar in Zoom, you will see at the bottom a microphone to mute and unmute yourself, video so you can stop or start recording, sharing your screen. You can also see the chat functionality there. If you have any questions throughout this training, you can use that chat functionality and ask any questions that you have. Liana will be moderating the chat and we will answer the questions at the end of the presentation. There's also a reaction button. So if you have any reactions that you want to share, you love something and you want to let me know by sending a heart, or you don't love something and you want to let me know by putting a thumbs down, then that you can do that as well. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get to know Google Workspace. So today I will be leading you through Google Workspace. This is the Michaels organization product for emailing, chatting, data storage, and more. So for the next hour and a half, I'll provide a Google Workspace overview, introducing you to Google Workspace, emailing basics with Gmail, communicating with Google Chat, scheduling with Google Calendar, storing data with Google Drive, video conferencing with Google Meet, and utilizing AI with Google Gemini. I will then provide you enough time to ask any questions that you may have. For those that are just joining, welcome. Welcome to the Michaels organization and welcome to the training. We are going to go over Google Workspace. And right now I'm going over what the agenda is for this next hour and a half. Okay. Again, welcome if you're just joining us. Today I'll be going over Google Workspace. Everyone is on mute to avoid any outside distractions or noises that may happen. In the chat functionality of your Zoom, please feel free to add any questions that you have. And at the end of the presentation, I will be answering those questions for you. In the event that we run out of time, my contact information will also be displayed on the last slide so that you can contact me and I can answer any of those questions that you have. After attending today's training, it is my hope that you have a general understanding of how to find and use Gmail, Google Chat, Google Meet, Google Drive, and Google Calendar. So let's start off with describing what is Google Workspace. Google Workspace is a suite of online software applications that allows users to share information and ideas using Google's communication, collaboration, and publishing tools. These apps help you work from anywhere on any device. So, whether you're using a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, or a phone, you can access Google Workspace apps seamlessly via an internet connection. There are a number of apps under the Google Workspace suite, and there will be plenty of training throughout the year to teach you how to use and maximize each app. So try not to get too overwhelmed by today's presentation. We're going to be focusing just on 5 core apps just to get you started in your new position. And we are going to start off today with Gmail. Gmail is Google's emailing application. With Gmail, you can send and receive and organize your messages. You can integrate with all of the Google Workspace applications. It has wonderful productivity features and it has built in security and intelligence. There are 3 different ways that you can access Gmail. You can access Gmail by opening Chrome and logging into Google Workspace. You can launch Gmail on a mobile device via the app launcher, or you can type mail.google.com via a web browser. Once you're in, you'll be able to compose emails and receive emails and messages and do countless tasks right in your Gmail. So you can manage your Gmail settings, optimize your inbox, and make it all to your preferences and your comfortability of how you like things to look within Gmail. So let's start by managing our Gmail settings. So the first thing you're going to do when you log on to Gmail is make sure that you are on the right account. For a lot of our community managers, there are a number of inboxes you'll be looking at, and so the inbox you really want to make sure you're in the right place and you're using the right account. Right now, I'm using Michael's IT. Next to it, you're going to see the waffle or the Google Apps. There again, you're going to make sure you're on the right account. There you'll see the Gmail, Drive, Gemini, Calendar, and other productivity apps from Google. Next to that, you'll see Google Gemini. And Google Gemini is Google's AI assistant. So if you've used ChatGPT in the past, this is Google's version and it integrates right into the Google Workspace. It also stores any questions that you have asked. Next to that, you'll see that cog or that wheel. That is where you can select your settings for Google. So you can choose what you want it to look like based on your preferences. And we'll go over that in a little bit. You also find your activity bar, so it will show whether you're active, whether you decided to be on do not disturb. You can set your away messages there. You can add an additional status, and you can change your chat notifications. So let's go back to our settings. When you click settings, you will be in your quick settings. And the first thing you'll see is density. And density is how compact you would like your inbox to look. So if you want a wider space or a smaller space, that is how you can change that. You can also choose a theme, and theme is what color do you want your inbox to be or what pattern? I kind of like this yellow, so this is what it would look like. But being that I'm pretty basic, I also like the general Google page. And so this is how I keep my Gmail within themes. You also get to pick how you want your Gmail to be sorted. Do you want it to be important first or unread first? Do you want starred to appear first based on what's important to you? Or do you want to have multiple inboxes all at the same time? So if you do unread first, your unread messages will be at the top. As you can see, I am on top of it. I've read all my messages for today. You can also see important first, and these are emails that you have classified as important. You can also go back to customize. That's me. I like my inbox to be, what came last as the one on top. You can also do a reading pane, so you can split your inbox either on the right, so you can have your emails, a preview pop up on the right, kind of like you did in Microsoft 365 if you used that in the past. So here you'll see that I have a preview of the email that I received on the right hand side, or you can choose to have that same preview on the bottom of your inbox. And again, this is all based on your preferences and how you would like your inbox to look. You can also choose the conversation view of how you would like to see your email. Now, every time you change these preferences, Gmail will ask you, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And if you answer yes, it'll go ahead and do it for you. And if you answer no, it'll change that for you. So it always asks you, "Are you sure this is something you want to proceed with?" But you can always change it back. So there's no need to be worried if you click on something that you've broken it and you can't change it back. You can always change it back by going on that cog or that wheel to email settings. Now, for a deeper dive on how you would like your Gmail to look like and how you would like to customize it, you're going to click on settings. And here in settings, you can choose your language. You can choose how many messages you want to see at one time. You can choose how long you want before you can recall a message. So if you use Microsoft 365 and you've recalled messages that you didn't mean to send, you can do that here with unsend emails. You can also default reply. So, do you always want to reply to just one person or reply all? You can choose that there. You can change suggestions. So, sometimes while you're typing up, you can see like grammar rules or spelling, autocorrect. You can choose whether you want to see any of those features by going into settings and under your general settings tab. Nudges are really great if you're like me who gets distracted easily or you answer emails in your head. A nudge will remind you after a few days, "Hey, do you want to respond to that email? We see that you haven't replied yet." So I always keep nudges on, but you can choose to take those off if you would like. You can also choose how you want to mark a conversation after you preview it. If you choose to have the preview pane in your email, after 3 seconds, it could be marked as read if you like. Notifications are important. You can choose how you want to be notified of new emails. You can do that by putting it in your primary tab. You can have notifications on. You can take notifications off. You can also choose the sound. So if you are more of an auditory person and want to hear some of the sounds, you can choose what sounds you like. There's also stars. You can use stars or other images based on the importance of emails. And this you will set yourself. So if you don't want a yellow star, but you want to use another icon, you can go ahead and do that right here. You can also create a new signature. As a Michaels employee, you received a signature from Human Resources, and this is pulled from UKG. So when you're hired, you get into the system, and that's how it's pulled. But you can also choose a secondary one that you can create based on your preference of text, of how big you want the text to be, if you want to put in a link, if you're interested in putting in a picture. You can also choose how you want to change the formatting of that, if you want it centered or not centered. You can choose when to send this email. So if you want the email to be on your signature to be on there for new emails or for emails that you're replying to, you can go ahead and do that. We also have our vacation responder. So if you're going on vacation, this is where you go to put in, "This is when I'm going to be out of the office." And you can make a message right here saying, "I'm out of the office from this date to that date. This is how you can get in contact with someone in my office." We're going to go ahead and talk about emailing basics. So on the top there, those three semicolon things, you can see what's important. You can filter your emails by what's been read or unread. You can refresh the email. So if you're waiting on an email and you're like, it's been a minute, I haven't received anything, you can go ahead and refresh up there. To create a new email, you're going to hit compose and you're going to type in someone's email address. Now, if someone works at Michael's organization, they're already pre populated. So you will start typing their name and you will see their Michael's picture pop up and their email address. So today we're going to email Alexandra. I want to send her an email. I'm going to go ahead and put it in my subject line. So, hello from IT Learning. And you have the option of typing in your email. Um, at the bottom, as you can see, you have formatting options. You can choose what font you want to use based on the tone of the email. You can see how big you want the font to be, again, based on the tone of the email. So I tend to go with normal, but if something is exciting or urgent, you can use a bigger font. You can choose how you want to align your emails. If you want to put in bullets or numbers, a quote, or a strike through, you can go ahead and do that. Next to the font, you'll see Help Me Write, which we'll get right back to. You can attach a document using that clipboard. You can insert a link, an emoji. You can use Google Drive. You can select a layout, which we'll get to in another training. And you can also set up a time to meet with someone, which we will get to later on in this training. So there's a lot of functionalities that you can use in Gmail without having to leave Gmail. And if you want to delete a message, you can hit that trash can. So let's talk about Help Me Write. Help Me Write, you'll see when you start typing a message there. And that is Google's AI, so Gemini, that's right within Gmail. So I am going to write an email to Alexandra using Help Me Write. I want to thank her for reaching out to me regarding the training initiatives for her team. And I want to ask her when she's available for us to meet sometime this week, if she's available, hopefully. Sometimes it's easier to meet with people than it is to just email back and forth. And so I am going to create this message on Help Me Write to make it a little more formal. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And then Help Me Write is going to give me an example of what the email can look like. So, I did put in the prompts and then Help Me Write created this email, which I am going to go ahead and insert. I kind of like it. But if it doesn't get it right the first time around, if you don't like the tone, you can choose to polish the email. So with polish, Help Me Write can refine what that looks like. You can choose to make it more formal. So if it's someone that's like a superior or someone outside the organization that you want to be a little more formal with, you can choose that with Help Me Write. If you want to make the email a little longer and provide a little more information, Help Me Write can also create that for you. And it does auto spell. Yes. Help Me Write can help you auto spell. And whenever you hit insert, when you're happy with a message that's created with Help Me Write, you have to make sure that you delete the other message at the top, that you hit backspace, or the reader will be able to see both the messages that you wanted and then the message that Help Me Write created. One of the great things about Gmail is that it integrates with Calendar, so you do not have to exit your screen to see Calendar. So what we're going to do right now is that we're going to share our availability with Alexandra. As you can see, my calendar is pretty open. Everything is available. So I want to create a 45-minute slot for me and Alex to meet. You can do that by finding times. You're going to select the number of minutes that you want to meet with the person. You're going to add a date. You're going to add times based on your availability. And again, you don't have to exit by looking at your calendar. You can do this right in Gmail. It integrates your calendar on the left hand side. So, right here, this is your calendar that it's showing you. And the top here, that's Alexandra's calendar. So I can see when she's not available. So I'm adding the dates and times that I'm available. Again, a 45-minute meeting. And I am going to change the name of that. The event title I'm gonna create is gonna be called IT Training Request Meeting Follow Up. If you don't, it's just going to be titled Let's Meet. And then I go ahead and I inserted that right into my email. So there, Alexandra can see the proposed times that I would like to meet. Now, for those that meet with residents, well, in the community, this is a great way for you to provide your availability so that you can make meeting easier. So we saw how it integrates with Calendar. Now let's talk about how it integrates with Google Drive. So Gmail also integrates with Google Drive so that you don't have to leave the screen and open up Drive. Right now, I'm going to attach an email the old-fashioned way by hitting the paperclip and going on my desktop and adding a document. But then you see that triangle, that's Google Drives. And Google Drives is the cloud storage that Google Workspace provides for all of us. And so I have uploaded some of my materials on there. You can also see your shared drives, documents that have been shared with you, and recent documents that you have opened on Drive. So today I'm going to share with Alexandra our monthly phishing campaign. And I can send that as an attachment or I can send that as a link. And I'm choosing to share that as a link with Alexandra. So there she has attached the old document that I created, and she has a link to the new document that I shared with her through Google Drives. I can schedule a send, or I can send that email directly to her at the present moment. But because I know Alexandra and I know that she's pretty busy this afternoon, I'm going to go ahead and pick a time and date that I think will be best for her when I know that she's going to be available, not just at the office, but that I'm going to get her undivided attention. And so Alexandra is going to be receiving that email on April 1st at 1:54 p.m. Great thing about the integration with Drive is that I get to pick the permission that Alexandra has to that document. I can make her an editor so she can change the documents. I can make her a viewer or a commenter. And I'm going to go ahead and make her a viewer. I don't want her to change any of my documents, but I do want her to have access to them. And as you can see down there, I scheduled that email for tomorrow at 1:54 p.m. So that's when Alexandra will be receiving that email. Now let's talk about creating labels. Many of us know labels as folders. So in Gmail, folders are called labels. And right now I have two labels in my Gmail, but I want to create a new label. And I want to call this label marketing emails. I get a lot of marketing emails. I can choose to nest that folder under something else, or I can make it a standalone folder. And what nesting means is that it's a subfolder under another folder. I can choose the color that I want that folder to be. I kind of like that pretty green. I'm a Taurus, so that's my birthstone color, emerald. So I went ahead and made that a green folder, and right now there's nothing in it. So I'm going to select a few emails that I want to add within that folder. And these are all coming from marketing. So I am checking them all off and I am going to hit that folder at the top with the arrow and I get to move it under any folder that I'd like. And I'm going to go ahead and put it into that marketing folder that I just created, that marketing label. And now they're gone. Now they live in marketing. I can also open up an email and move that email into a folder once I've opened up that email by going to the top again to that folder and selecting which folder I want it to go into. And that's how you can manage your labels. You can also set priorities within your inbox by starring something, and you can also make something important by filling that flag there, by highlighting that flag on the side. So that when you filter later on, you can filter by importance or by starred. So it's just another way to help you filter your emails. If you receive something that's spam, you can go ahead and check that email and report spam. You can archive that email. You can delete it. You can mark it as unread if you want to read it at a later time, or you can mark it as read. You can snooze it. So if there's an email that you receive that you want to be able to read at a later time and respond to, you can pick the date and time you want that email to come back again. So it'll still remain in your inbox, but you'll get an alert saying, hey, respond to this email. And then you can also add a task. So if you want to make an email a task, you can click on that check plus icon that's there and do that. And just like you can do by clicking on the sides, you can also manage your labels or your folders by doing that flag at the top. So these are some of the features that you can use within Gmail. Now let's talk about email delegations. I know for some of us that have multiple properties, you'll have access to a number of inboxes. So you can see those inboxes at the top by clicking on the Michaels. You can see I have the Michaels IT email address that I am delegated to. And I can also go back to my regular email address or my personal email address, all by going at the very top of the email. So by going right here. Let's review some of the things that we went over. If you've used Microsoft Outlook in the past, here are some of the different verbiage that mean the exact same thing. So it's different names for very similar features. So in Outlook, we call them folders. In Gmail, we call them labels. In Outlook, it's called rules. In Gmails, we call them filters. In Outlook, you can make a new email. In Gmail, it's called compose. In Outlook, you can do delay delivery. In Gmail, it's called schedule send. Message recalled is now undo send. Alerts are called notifications. Ignore a conversation in Outlook becomes mute a conversation in Gmail. Your junk folder is now spam. And deleted items are called trash. So these are just some helpful words for you to remember. Gmail does the exact same things as Outlook does, but the words and the names of things are just a little different. So now let's talk about chats, Google Chats. So to locate chats, you can locate it on your browser by typing in chat.google.com and then signing in. You can open up chat by going onto that waffle icon and opening chat that way. Or you can also get to chats by opening your mobile device and opening the Google Chat app. So there's three different ways that you can access chat. So let's chat. So here we are on Gmail. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a message bubble, and that is our chat. You can chat with an individual person or you can chat with a group. Right now, I am going to chat with Alexandra, and I'm going to ask her if she's received a report that we've both been waiting for from Leanna. I always thought her very friendly. I know that you get a lot more flies with honey than with vinegar. So Alexandra has told me that she has not received that follow up, and I'm going to go ahead and use smart features to respond. So I'm not going to type anything out. I'm just going to hit some of the smart features. But if I did want to type, I can again change the the letters of how I want them to look, the fonts. I can choose an emoji. I can respond with a GIF, which is my favorite. You can upload a document, or you can record a voice message or a video message. So these are all different ways that one can respond within chats. You can also create a space. A space is kind of like a group that you're creating. And you can create a group if you're managing different properties or if you work with different colleagues. And you can share documents, assign tasks, and you can organize conversations by using threads. So I really do enjoy this feature. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new chat. And it's called IT Training Coordination. And I'm going to add some members and I'm going to add my usual suspects. So, Alexandra and Liana, who I speak to a lot about training. So I've added them into our group. As you can see here now, it says I have 3 members. And I'm going to go ahead and share a file with them. And I can use, files from my drive. I can upload a file from my computer. If there's a shared drive that I want to send with them, I can do that as well. I can also share with them things that have been shared with me in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and share with them how to create a background image on Google Meets. And then I also want to assign a specific task. Now, this is the part of this app that I really appreciate is that I can add a task without having to separately email somebody. So I'll go ahead and add that task there. I want to complete the Google Workspace training. I can put in any further details that I want. So, I want to finish the recording. That's the part of the training that hasn't been completed yet. I can add a due date and a time to that. I'm going to say 9 a.m. on Monday, and I'm going to assign that task to Alexandra. And I'm going to go ahead and add that on. Now, when you go to the chat, you'll see that this has been created for Alexandra. So Alexandra has received that. And she knows that she has to now complete the Google Workspace training. I can go ahead and set settings for that by going to manage members at the top. Who can see what I put on that space. So I want all members to be able to modify. I want all members to be able to at someone by using the at symbol. And I want all members to receive emails whenever something has been posted within our group or our workspace. Because someone can say, I can see Alexandra saying, I never got an email. What are you talking about? And I can go ahead and tell her, no, no. I know based on my settings that you have received that email. So even if you didn't look at your chats, even if you didn't look at your spaces, I know that Google sent you an email based on me checking off that box. So you can do individual chats and you can do group chats through Google Workspaces. And anytime you receive a share file, someone shares a file with your folder using Google Drive, you'll also receive a chat from Google letting you know, hey, either you've been mentioned in a chat in the past or someone has shared a document with you. So Google not only sends you an email letting you know that a document has been shared with you, but it'll also send you a chat. Gmail knows that we have very short attention spans, and so they tries to communicate with you in different ways. So here, when you go back to the individual chat, you can choose to star something and make it important so that when you go to your starred feature shortcuts at the top, you can see what was important to me at the moment. I starred this so I don't forget. So Alexandra has not heard from Leanna. She hasn't gotten that report. So I went ahead and started that so that I can remember to go back. You can also choose to mute a chat. So if you've chatted with someone in the past, you can choose to mute them. If you're like, no, you're stressing me out, I don't have time for you today, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. You can mute them for a day or two or forever. And then you can also choose to unmute them by going to the left hand side of Google Chats. So I just shared with Alexandra another document. And I want to go ahead and put that on the board. So the board is another way for you to view some of the documents and things that you've shared with someone within, either chats or your Google Workspaces, also known as your groups. So I'm going to go ahead and add that script that I shared with Alexandra. I'm going to go ahead and pin it on the board. It's just an easier way for me to be able to find a document that I shared with her, and an easier way for us to be able to filter our messages, but also store some of the important documents that we've shared with one another. It's a way to keep you organized. Home, it tells you what you have unread or what you've read. It also shows you your threads. So a thread is a conversation that you have when someone asks you. That is a thread. And you can also toggle between having a full screen, which is my preference, to having a split screen, which I know is also the preference of other people. You can also use Gemini features on a chat if you would like. You can turn them on. Google will ask you, do you want Gemini here? And Gemini can do a lot of things for you within chats. You can ask it to catch you up on a specific conversation. I have, Google IT chat highlighted, and I asked it to catch me up on the conversation because I don't have time to be reading all these emails. And so it went ahead and it told me that, a task was assigned for Alexandra. I'm pretending I didn't understand, and I'm asking Gemini, who was it assigned to? And again, it said I assigned it to Alexandra. And then I asked, was Alexandra notified of the task? And it says, yep, she was notified of the task. And so I feel a little more comfortable with assigning a specific assignment to Alexandra because I know she received the chat, she received the email, and according to Gemini, it's confirmed that it's been sent. See that at right there? At Alexandra, that is a thread. But you can also see the task. So if you just press on that, you can go back to the task. You can go back to see who it was assigned to and when that intended due date was. Again, just a way to double check that that task was indeed sent. And you can always delete the task if you would like, or mark it as finished. You can say, all right, Alexandra did the task. We can move on from here. And you can see under threads that that has been completed. So Alexandra can mark that as completed, or you can mark that as completed. Now we're going to go into calendar. I am a calendar girl. If it's not on the calendar, it ain't happening. Again, that short attention span of mine, like all the other Google apps, can access calendar by using the browser. So you can type in calendar.google.com. Noticing a trend, anytime you want to open up an app within Google Workspace, it's always .google.com. So you can use chat.google.com, calendar.google.com, gmail.google.com. You can also access that by hitting the waffle at the top and going to your calendar, which is right here, or you can use that through your app. And now, one of the great things about Google Calendar is that obviously you can schedule meetings, you can invite guests, you can also create tasks here. You can share your calendar, and it's a great way for you to avoid scheduling conflicts, which is why I really appreciate it. So let's manage our calendar settings. So at the top again, I make sure that I'm on the right account. I can check not just up here, but I can also check by going on that waffle and seeing that it has the icon IT, which is the email address that I'm using. That check mark is tasks that I need to complete. So if I want to see it, the calendar via tasks, I can do that, or I can see it via the regular calendar mode. I can pick to choose it by a day, a week view, a month view, even a year view. I can see it in a schedule view, which will just list out things that I need to complete based on things that have been scheduled. I can do a 4-day forecast and see my calendar that way. And I can also search for specific things. So if I had an email to talk about trainings, I can just type in training, and anything that says training on my calendar will be pulled for me to see that and hopefully find the exact event that I'm looking for. You can go forward a week or back a week if you're using the week view. If you're using the month view, you can also go forward a month or a few months. You can go backwards and see what happened in on months prior. Um, and then you can also click on today. So let's say you go all the way to December because you want to plan vacation. If you hit today at the top, you will be brought back to the actual day that it is. You can also create events, focus time, out of office. But let's go ahead and create an event. Let's start off by creating an event. So you're going to hit create at the top, and then you're going to select event. And I'm going to go ahead and make a meeting with Leanna. I can choose to make that a virtual meeting through Google Meet. Um, I can choose what controls I have available or that she has available. So if you're inviting a person, you can choose their level of access and control on the Google Meet. Um, you can have allow people to join before you join, or you can have them wait in a waiting room until you join. This is all based on your preferences. You can track attendance, which is pretty cool. And you can do that all by going to your settings. Remember, whenever you change your settings, you want to go ahead and hit save, or you can hit cancel. You can choose if you want your meetings to be recorded. Um, and if so, do you want the meetings to be transcribed? Do you want Gemini to take notes for you? You can choose a co host or a contributor. And you can also create breakout rooms. So if you have 3 different properties and you're doing a training and you want people to mingle with other people that they don't necessarily work with on a daily basis so they get to know each other, you can put them in predetermined uh, breakout rooms, or you can have the calendar just generate a breakout room for you ad hoc. Now, I wanted to set a meeting with Leanna at 9:30 a.m., but I see that she is busy. So the red is Leanna, and it says that she's busy. So I'm going to go ahead and pick another time. And as you can see, neither one of us is busy at that time, which is 11 a.m. And again, that's one of the great things about using Google Workspace is that everything is integrated within each app. So let's create a calendar. So let's say there's different properties that have different activities happening, and it's too much for you to put on your calendar in order for you to then decide what's your calendar and what calendar belongs to another property. Creating a new calendar is a great way for you to be able to do that. This way you can put calendar events that's assigned to a specific property. As an IT trainer, I don't have properties, but I do have different training events. And so I'm going to go ahead and make a folder, and I'm going to go ahead and call it IT trainings. And I am going to personalize it by picking a color that best matches um, a look that I like. And I wanted the blue, but then I realized that my calendar is blue. So I went ahead again and chose a beautiful emerald green because my birthday's in May. So anytime I schedule something, I get to choose the calendar that I want it to fall under. I can add a location or video conferencing through Google Meet. And I'm going to go ahead and create Gemini training for beginners. So I want our beginners to feel comfortable using AI within Google. I'm going to create a description. I can also add meeting notes. If I want someone to read something before the event happens, I can add that through meeting notes or add it through links. And as you can see, that is now a different color because it belongs to my IT learning trainings. And so that has my calendar and IT training. You can also create tasks through calendar, just like you can create it on Gmail and just like you can create it on chat. So I'm going to go ahead and create a task here. I am going to create a presentation for cybersecurity. It's all very important. As you know, technology changes quickly and there's always somebody trying to steal your information. And I want to keep some of our teammates up to date on that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a cybersecurity meeting, but I have to put it on my calendar or again, out of sight, out of mind, Alex forgets. So I am going to create slides for that training. I can pick if how often this event repeats. So if I know that this is something that's going to be ongoing and that I'm going to be updating, I might want it to repeat once a week, twice a week, 2 days during a single week. I can choose when I want it to start on my calendar and when I want it to end. Because this is a one-time training, I'm going to hit does not repeat and I'm going to go ahead and add it to my tasks. Now you can see right there that the task has been made and it is now on my calendar. I can choose to mark it as complete. If you go to your right hand side, you can also see tasks, subtask, or I can create a subtask for that. So before I can make the slides, right, I need to research some videos on the latest cybersecurity details that are out there. So I went ahead and created a task. When I'm done, I can mark that as complete. As you can see, I never finished busy March, and we're now in April. Don't judge me. Sometimes that happens with tasks. So there you go. That's how I can create a task. I can also do appointment management. Now, this is great for anyone that's meeting with external clients, anyone that's meeting with residents. And so I'm going to go ahead to create at the top and I am going to make a bookable appointment schedule. So I am going to add a title to that appointment based on what the need of the appointment is. And so I'm going to make that meeting with residents, and I want that to be 45 minutes long. I don't want it to repeat, but I do want to add some dates and times that I'm going to be available for the residents to choose to meet with me. So the 8th looks good. Let's pick some times for that. You can make it for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm doing mine 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I'm going to clear my calendar on that day so I can meet with people. On the 11th, I can go a little later. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule that from 11 to 6 p.m. You can choose a time zone. You can choose the scheduling window. So how far in advance do you want appointments to be booked? And that is all based on your preferences. I find that people forget if it's too far in advance. So I'm going to go ahead and just make that 15 days. So people have 2 weeks to schedule an appointment ahead of time. And I want them to receive some time to receive an email before the meeting happens. So I'm going to go ahead and put that 4 hours ahead of time. I need 10 minutes in between people. Like I need to drink my water. I need to decompress. I need to be able to read files or notes on people. So I'm going to go ahead and make a buffer time of 10 minutes in between each meeting. And maximum bookings for a day, you can go ahead and do that if you'd like. And you can allow guests to invite others. You can also choose which calendar you want this appointment to fall under. And if you have any co-hosts or if you have an assistant or someone that needs to be present during these meetings, you can go ahead and invite them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Alexandra to be a co-host. So that in my absence, let's say something happens and I'm not here, Alexandra can still have visibility of this calendar. You can add, a photo to that. So if it's a property, you can add a property photo to that. You can choose whether you want the meeting to be in person, if you want it to be a video conference or via telephone. I'm going to go ahead and make it an in-person meeting. Um, for some folks, specifically for those that don't speak the language, it's a little easier if I can see them in person because I can read their body language. I'm gonna go ahead and add their phone number on there so that when they're booking, they need to add their phone number. I'm gonna make that a requirement for the booking page. And if there's anything else that you want to add, you can go ahead and do that. And I am going to require them to leave me an email message. Email address as a way for me to be able to contact them and also send them appointment reminders. So these individuals, I'm going to give them um, just I want to say like 5 hours. I like that buffer. So 5 hours before the event happens, they're going to be receiving an email saying, "Hey, you scheduled an appointment at this time with IT Learning." I'm just reviewing everything, making sure things don't look crazy. Oh, look, I forgot to add an address. So I'm going to go ahead and add Michael's organization in Camden. That's where I'm located. I'm in Jersey. And I think I have everything I require. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then you can share that calendar with people. You can see the booking page, see what it looks like. You can share it via a link. You can embed that in a website if you have a website that residents use or other people in the community use to get in contact with you. Um, I am going to make it a link. You can make it a pop-up button. You can make it, any way that you think looks best for a resident to be able to get in contact with you and be at that meeting, all based on your preferences of what it looks like. And this is what the preview looks like. So if a person selects any of those days, it'll say meeting with residents and it'll have their contact information. It'll also have the amount of time that the meeting takes and if it's going to be in person or if it's going to be virtual. So that's a copy that these individuals receive. Now, right now, no one has put in their preference, and so that's why it's just an empty box. But it's it'll be filled out for everyone that completes it. So calendar also has very similar features that calendar on Outlook has, and so they just have very different names for the same functionalities. So in Outlook it's called scheduling a meeting, in Google it's called create an event. In Outlook, it's called create recurring events. In Google, I'm sorry, Google Calendar, it's called create repeating events. Calendar side by side on Outlook is overlay calendars on Google Calendars. You could add an attendee to an email invitation on Outlook, but in Google Calendar, it's called add groups or guests to event details. You can schedule a conference call on Outlook. Whereas in Google Calendars, it automatically adds video calls to every event. You can publish a calendar on Outlook, but in Google Calendars, it's called Make a Calendar Public. Now let's talk about Drive. And Google Drive is your cloud, it's your storage cloud where you can save things to access when you are not in front of your computer. So not only is this a good way to put information that you need to access at another time, let's say you're off site, you don't have your computer on you, you need to open a document, as long as you saved it or shared it with Drive, you'll be able to access that on, no matter where you are, as long as you have internet connection. So, like before, to access Drive, you can go ahead and type that in your browser, drive.google.com. You can open it in your mobile app, Google Drive, and that's what it looks like. You can launch it from the icon as well. If you use the waffle on top once you sign into Gmail, you can access Drive that way. So let's go into Drive and have a little bit of an overview of how Drive works. So you can again access Drive through going to the waffle. That's typically how I access my Drive. What you see on top, the very first page, is files that you have accessed recently and also files that you've opened recently. If there's any activity that you've done recently, it'll be there. Now you have your shared drive, which is a drive that you share with others, and you also have my drive, which is your drive. These are things that you upload for yourself. On shared drive, that's there. Sometimes you'll see something that says hidden drive, and we'll get back to that. You'll also be able to see files that have been shared with you, recently opened files, starred files. So if you've marked them as important, you can see spam or junk and things that you've put in the trash. So let's go ahead and look at your own personal drive or my drive. As you can see on my drive, I have saved a number of documents, but I want to go ahead and put in some new information. I'm going to upload, um, well, you can upload different things and you can also go into different documents that are within the Google Workspace. So Google Docs, Google Sheets, slides, these are all things that I'll be reviewing in future trainings. But I want to create a document right in Drives without having to open a different window. And I can do that by going into drives. So shared with me, these are documents that have been shared with me. So I open it up and I can see it right there from my drive. And you can collaborate on Drive just like you can collaborate with apps on Microsoft 365. So I want to go ahead and create a shared drive for me and my teammates. So if you have people that live in different properties and you want to create a shared folder, let's say you have flyers that say, you know, the elevators are down and you want to create a standard flyer for all the properties and you want all the community managers, all, people to be able to access that, then you can make that under a shared drive. So I'm going to call it Camden HQIT Learning, and I'm going to add my homegirls, Alex and Liana, who I'm always working with. And I can add them as viewers, as commentators, as commenters, as contributors, as content managers, or as managers. And you can choose what level of access you want individuals to have. I'm just going to make them contributors. I'm going to send them a message so that they know that this drive is coming their way and what's the purpose of the drive. So invitation to the Camden HQ IT Learning Drive, and I'm going to go ahead and send it to them. Now, I don't have to then send them a separate email. It's already integrated within Google Workspace. And by me adding them, they now will receive an email saying, you've been added to this shared drive. So let's go ahead and create a new folder within this drive. And I'm going to go ahead and name it IT Learning Materials. And now there's a new folder under that drive. And in that folder, I'm going to put IT learning materials for Alexandra and Leanna to have access to. I selected a number of documents and they've been uploaded. And this is just Google Workspace training materials that they can then look at at their leisure and that they have access to. So they don't always have to ask, hey, what did you put in your building? I would like to use a similar flyer. Can you send it to me? That gets annoying after a while, especially if you're not accessible. So putting something in a shared drive under a folder just makes it easier for everyone to have access whether you're in the office or not. Within shared drives, you can see if there's any hidden drives that are available to you. Not everyone will have hidden drives, only some people have access to these. Because I am at the Camden office at HQ, there are some documents that I have access to that are called hidden files. Not sure why they're hidden if I can find them, but they're there. And these are just files that you can use that you share with other collaborators. Some of these files I can only view, some of these files I can download content from, and some of these files I'm not allowed to download anything. It's just, again, I can only view it. I'm gonna go ahead and share a file with someone. Um, let's see, I'm gonna share with IT support the Michael's organization logo. And I'm just going to make them a viewer. I don't need them changing my document, but I do want them to be able to view the document. I could send it via a link. I could send it directly through the drive. They'll get that automatic email. Or I can close that out and go on chat and just send them that link that I copied. You can download a document by hitting that download file, icon. You can move that document to another folder. You can move it to trash. And then the three dots at the top, you can do the exact same things without having to hit individual icons. Just by hitting those three dots, a drop down menu will pop up and you can um, share documents that way. So again, I'm opening this logo so I can share that. I can print it or download it. I can add a comment for others to see. I can share it from here as well. So just like in Gmail, where you can open an email and send things, or you can just check off on it, I can do something similar with Drives by checking things off or opening up the document and sharing it that way. Now, as you can see, I am looking at other documents. Um, I am in the Google Workspace Overview folder, and I'm going to use AI or Gemini to tell me a little bit about the documents that are here. So I can, access AI by using this here, or I can go back at the top. Now, too much information gives me information overload. So if you don't want to read every single document that's in a folder, you can ask Gemini to summarize the documents that are in that folder. Like what is in there before I open each individual document. And Gemini will give me a nice summary for each document that's there. Now, there are some limitations. It can't summarize a video just yet, although Google works really quickly, and I'm sure that'll happen soon. So there are some limitations, but for the most part, most of documents it can read. Now I'm like, that's way too many words, Gemini. I'm not reading that either. I can ask Gemini to condense that even more. looking for something on Google Meets, on training on Google Meets. And so I just asked Gemini if any of these documents cover Google Meet or chat in detail. And Gemini is able to scan the documents and say, yep, no, girl, it does not. You're going to have to create something. None of these documents describe in detail Google Chats or Google Meet. You can also type things in as opposed to clicking on pre-made suggestions. So I want to know if it tells me how I can access Gmail. And yes, the documents that are there tells me how one can access Gmail, and it also gives me the sources. And as you can see, the sources that it's pulling from are the two documents that are within the file. So Gemini is not just creating crazy crazy information. It's pulling from the sources that I have provided it for. You can change how you want the folder to look. So if you prefer to see things side by side, you can make it a grid. If you prefer to see things in list view, you can go ahead and make it a list. You can filter through last modified, so which was the latest document to be changed or the latest one to be opened by me. You can look for the source, who has access to that, and you can give people access to that right here in Drive. You don't have to go again into another application. And that's one of the great things about Google Workspace. It's the integration of all the apps within each other. All right, let's talk about Google Meet. You can open up Google Meet on the browser, meet.google.com. You can open up on a mobile app by hitting the application icon, or you can go on the waffle at the very top and you can click on the Google Meet. And Google Meet is a video conferencing app, very similar to Zoom, but it is a Google product. So let's do that Meet overview. What is Google Meet like? And I can start a new meeting or I can enter a meeting code. It tells me here the meetings that I have scheduled with others. Um, Again, it has a waffle at the top with the integration. You see the settings on top. You can click on settings and put how you want to be able to speak and use Google Meets. So you can ask it to use a specific microphone or camera. You can ask it not to use anything if you want to be muted. Um, I have my headset, my microphone, and so it's picking up that microphone. But if I wanted to use my computer's microphone, I can change it to that as well. Same thing with the speakers. If you have multiple speakers, you can choose what speaker you want to hear the audio from. It can ask it what webcam you want it to use. So you can use a camera that comes on a laptop, or you can use an external one. There I am. Hey. Um, and you can choose that by going there. You can see call history. So anyone that you've met with, if you go on call history, you can see who you've met with, and you can delete some of those logs if you want as well. You can have notifications. So if someone is trying to ping you, you can see that within your desktop. Or if there is an upcoming meeting, you can get a notification saying, "Hey, we're about to meet on Google Meet. You have 5 minutes to get your act together. Make sure your hair don't look crazy so you can be on camera." You can choose to enable smart features, Google Workspace smart features. So if you wanted to integrate with some of those other apps, if you want to use keyboard suggestions, you can do that there as well. Um, and that's how you can do the settings for your calls. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to start a new meeting. Um, you can choose to create a meeting for later, an instant meeting that'll happen instantaneously, or you could schedule a meeting through Google Calendars right here. So you don't have to change tabs. You don't have to go to another window. This does it automatically for you. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule a time and a date for my meeting. Um, I don't want this to repeat. It's a one-time meeting. I want it to be through Google Meets. So Google automatically makes a code for your meeting, so you don't have to go and create an appointment and then add the details there. You can put whether you're free or busy on your calendar uh, by doing it right here. You don't have to go into your calendar and change your settings. You can let guests change the event. You can have them see the guest list. I don't like when people can see the guest list, so I go ahead and I hide that. And you can have guests invite others if you would like. You can also start an instant meeting. Like, let's say someone's in the office, you can start that meeting. Um, you can send them the code that's there. So, hey, there I am again. I am going to send meeting details to probably Leanna because, like I said, that's my homegirl. Um, and I can add her right there if I want to. You can also add external email. So if someone doesn't use Google, if it's not a Google client, they can still receive those invitations and they can still partake in meetings within Google Meet. So kind of like Zoom, right? You don't have to have a Zoom account to be able to use Zoom. And you can send that invitation via email. You don't have to copy anything. You don't have to leave that page. The invitation has been sent. Now, if you want to just chat someone really quick, you can copy that and go into chats and you can send those meeting invites as well. So let's talk about some of the features from Meet. So just like with Zoom, you can end the call by pressing that red button. You can click on more options, and here you can choose the layout of your screen, how you want things to appear. You can add visual effects. You can use a phone for audio, or you can use your headset or your computer speakers. You can raise hands. So if someone has a question, they can raise or lower their hand with that one button. You can share your screen. You can present by clicking on that. So you would share the screen that you want, and then your viewers can see that screen, kind of like you're all watching my presentation now. See, they can see the screen that I have open there. I can pin myself if I want so that I don't disappear from the screen. You can also let participants kind of put stickers or the pen, or you can make it just for yourself if you want to, as the presenter, if you want to be able to write things on the screen. So if you're presenting to residents or you're presenting to other constituents, you can go ahead and make things more notable by writing, or highlighting something. So I wrote an A for Alexandra. I'm so cool. You can also clear all of that as well. Um, So these are just some of the features that I like to use when I'm using Meet. You can send the reactions, so the emojis of celebration or I like that or boo, I don't like that. You can go ahead and send that as well. And you can choose skin tones, which I think is pretty cool. So I went ahead and changed the skin tone so that it matches, the emojis matches me. You can put on closed captioning. So these are live closed captions. As you're speaking, it'll type it up. And so if you have anyone who's hard of hearing, they'll be able to see captions in live time. Now it's not perfect. So if you say things crazy, like if you mispronounce something, it'll pick it up. You can choose to mute yourself with a microphone. You can choose to not have your camera if you don't want to. And so that's some of the features of Meet that you can use. You can also chat with people. Um, you can filter who you want to see messages and who you don't want to see messages. Look, I'm loving this training. Awesome. And I sent that out. You can also have activities like for some of those that were here earlier in the meeting and we did that poll. You can do similar uh, polls or breakout rooms, recordings, and transcripts like you can within Zoom. And the transcript is one of my favorite features. Um, I forget things really quickly, and so transcripts really help me when it comes to remembering things. I want I want you to see how we can integrate Gemini within Google Meets. So Gemini can take notes for you. And at the end of the meeting, it'll send you an email with a summary of what was presented and what was said. So for me, whose attention span is poor and the memory is even poorer, having transcriptions come to me after a meeting is really helpful. Um, Same thing with recording. You can record the meeting, and everyone will know that the meeting is recorded because it'll say the meeting is being recorded. And you can include the captions in that recording. At the end of the meeting, you'll receive the recording of the meeting, and it'll be saved. You can find that in your drive, and you can find that also in your calendar. And as you can see, it's letting you know that Gemini is taking notes, so that anything that you say during that meeting will be captured in a note. I just started the recording, and I can stop the recording. And anyone that's participating can see when the recordings have started or stopped. You can change the view of the screen. So you can have two separate screens that the audience sees at the same time. Let's talk about your webcam settings. So make sure that you are on the right webcam always. And you can change the camera also within your presentation. So now let's talk about Google Gemini, and I know that we did talk about Gemini within each app. Uh, Gemini again, it is Google's AI. It is its Chat GPT, and you can see it on every single one of your Google apps. So here it is in Gmail. It can catch you up on topics. It can tell you who's been assigned a task. I really enjoy Google Gemini. I can use it to compose an email like I showed you earlier on. Um, I can use Gemini within Drive, and it will give me a summary of documents within Drive. It's also really good with searching and scouring your Drive for documents. But if you don't know what you want to use Gemini for, you can always ask it, what can Gemini do within this app? And it'll give you suggestions of how you can use Gemini within each app. So for instance, if you're using Docs, so Google Docs is the same as using Microsoft Word if you're used to Microsoft projects. And you can have it create some things for you. You can use Help Me Write again if you can't think of something, if you're stumped. If you have writer's block, you can use Help Me Write, and it'll help you create a document. It is AI, so it's not a perfect feature. Sometimes it comes out with some funny things, and but it's all based on how you prompt it. You can use AI. You can use Google Gemini within Sheets. Sheets is Google's Excel, and you can have it help you create tables. But if you don't know exactly again what it can do in Sheets, you can ask it, Gemini, what can you do in Sheets? What can you help me with? And Gemini will give you a list of things that it can do, like create formulas, it can analyze data, it can answer questions for you. Um, and it gives you all of that information of how you can utilize Gemini within that app. You can also use it in Slides, and Slides is Google's version of PowerPoint. So it can help you create a slide. Now, it can't help you create an entire presentation, but it can help you create one singular slide. So if you need help with creating a welcome slide, it'll do that for you. If you want help with creating a list, or a slide about new opportunities, or a slide to congratulate someone, it can do that. It can also help you generate an image. So if you want to put in an image, you can ask Gemini to create an image based on specifications that you give it. So AI can be scary for a lot of us. I know I definitely have had reservations about AI. I'm like, it's coming to take my job. But the truth is that technology is moving forward and AI has been here, it's here to stay. And those of us that can use AI, if we can maximize its usage, we're the ones that are going to be more hireable in the end. So don't be afraid of AI. I know there was a lot of information that was shared today. And so there's also more information that I wasn't able to fit within the hour and a half. So there will be a follow-up email that I'll be sending to you with an attachment. Now, the attachment that's going to be coming to you is going to be for those that want to manage different calendars. So if you have different properties and you want to be able to manage all the property calendars. After this meeting, I will be sending you via email instructions on how you can do that. You're also going to be getting a link to a survey for you to give me some feedback on this training. Is it helpful? Was it overwhelming? Did it make you more confident in using this? Thank you all so much for your time. My name is Alexandra Silvestre, and again, I am the Technology Systems Trainer. That is my email address. I don't just do things on Google Workspace. There's a lot of other trainings that I can do for your teams or for you if you need a brush up. So feel free to send me an email if there's ever a training you want me to do with your teammates, or if there's any trainings that you want me to sit on with you. I can also do individual trainings. I wish you a wonderful journey with Michaels. I've been here for almost 3 months and I've been loving it. And I look forward to working with all of you in the future.